I got the mandatory training blues. I got the mandatory training blues. Has anyone found this training any bloody use? I went down to the ward to see a patient of mine. Well, I went down to the ward to see a patient of mine. I looked up at the clock. I thought, oh shit, is that the time? It's time for mandatory training blues. It's time for mandatory training blues. Has anyone found this training of any bloody use? Now if a patient goes to hit me, I know how to defend myself. Well, if a patient goes to hit me, I know how to defend myself. But if they actually need some treatment, to pass them on to someone else. 'Cause I've only done mandatory training blues. Ooh, mandatory training blues. Yeah. Has anyone found this training of any bloody use? Well, I know all about child safety and the Mental Health Act. Well, I know all about child safety and the Mental Health Act. But when it comes to psychiatry, don't know nothing about that. I know about mandatory training blues. Yeah, mandatory training blues. Yeah. Has anyone found this training of any bloody use? I was resuscitating a patient. She collapsed down in the hole. I was resuscitating a patient. She collapsed down in the hole. I just started some compressions when I got the simmer training call. Yeah. I got the mandatory training blues. I got the mandatory training blues. Has anyone found this training of any bloody use? A new memo has come out. Oh, the latest patient that I spoke to talking about his booze and joints. Well, the latest patient that I spoke to talking about his booze and joints. But then I thought, this is hopeless. I'm not earning CME points. No, I'm not. Mandatory training. Mandatory training. for things I rarely see. We've done so much training for things I rarely see. Don't know where to start with psychotherapy. Got the mandatory training blues. Got the mandatory training blues, yeah. Has anyone found this training of any bloody use? The lawyers and the media, they like to drive us nuts. The lawyers and the media, they like to drive us nuts. Can't do what's best for patients, trained to protect our thoughts. Last time, mandatory training, come on. Mandatory training blues. Yeah, I got the mandatory training blues. Has anyone found this training of any bloody? Anyone found this training of any bloody?